Do you mean the one that Cynthia and I did?
Yep.
Oh, she was just talking to me about that. She's anxious to get the second one out.
Yeah,
We
I
have
like
to,
that. That was fun.
I appreciate that. It was a lot of fun and it was, um, well, sometimes it's hard because like I think she mentioned in that video, I was kind of forcing the issue in the beginning because I was all in, like you guys are all excited and hoping that that it's gonna change things for our future, and we can see that that might. But I was pushing too hard in the beginning, and she was resisting because I was pushing too hard. So it was really nice to, and I guess I didn't realize that. So she set me straight.
I think there's some background that some of us are missing.
Yeah, I think we might have to talk about that in Vegas because whatever happens there stays there.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Jim. Thanks for watching that.
Uh-huh.
Um, thanks, guys. Anyway, I did hit the record button, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, go ahead. I think Alex, you were talking about your deal. I got to hear a little bit about it when we were in Dion's course, but before you do that, I just wanted to welcome all you guys. We got some new folks with us that haven't been here before. I got to talk to you, Ryan, the other day. That was really great that you called. I was glad to connect with you. I didn't realize I had seen some of your stuff online, but I didn't realize that you had been a contractor for a while. And I think Jim, he's a contractor here in Sacramento, and me and Charles has done some of that as well. Charles used to do swimming pools and the like. So I'm glad to see you. I don't think we've seen Crystal here before. Crystal, are you there? Maybe just listening, but
Yeah.
um, but yeah, cool. So Ryan and Crystal, we're pretty informal, and so if you guys have questions or have any comments or anything at all, just jump right in and let us know what's on your mind.
Hey, this is Crystal. It took me a minute to be able to unpause. I had someone at the front door. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Or
that's okay.
unmute.
That's okay.
Um,
Hi. Hi.
Hi. Yeah, this is my first time to this meeting. I usually attend the ladies accountability, but I figured extra minds are never bad. So I'm jumping in here and hoping to make it part of my schedule.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hopefully, you'll find some value. Do you mind letting us know where you're at and what you're
Yeah,
investing in?
my husband and I, we are in Arizona, Southern Arizona, and Tucson. So most people you hear of are in Phoenix, but we're actually further south in Tucson. And we just have one live-in and one single family that we have had rented for a couple of years. So we're working on getting our next property and kind of going from there. We're exploring multi units because Tucson is really it seems to be a decent flipper market, and it also seems to be a good appreciation market, but the cash flow, especially in single families, are not as great. So we're exploring the market with multi-units here and getting to know different zip codes than we're currently in.
Great. Great. Thank you.
No
Uh,
problem. I'll
yeah.
try to
And
mute myself again. Sorry.
okay. Yeah. No worries. And how about you, Ryan? Do you want to let folks know where you're at and what you've been doing?
Yeah. So my wife and I are in Toledo, Ohio. We have about 20 doors. Right now, the market is crazy. So what we're doing is concentrating on our construction business and other businesses, and also helping out other investors that are here, rehabbing their properties, kind of walking them through and kind of guiding them and leading them in the right direction. So that's what we're up to right now.
Great.
Happy
Great.
happy to be here with y'all.
Yeah. Thanks for jumping in. Um, yeah, that's interesting. I was thinking about that today, that since we bought our properties and um, I guess basically we used up all our money doing that. So we need to, I guess, let them rest and stabilize and just get into position. I actually had a thought today that I kind of let real estate get in the way of my business for a while. And I need to do the opposite for a while. I won't, like you never stop looking and you never lose that interest. But I think I guess, let it go a little bit too far. And um,
It's
I
easy.
talked to, go ahead.
It's easy to do.
Yeah, you're right. I was talking to Jim and telling him that I felt like I lost my motivation for work because I saw a little bit of what real estate could do. You get a few rent checks in and you think, well, that was pretty nice not to have to work for that money. But if you go there too soon, then um, it could bite you a little bit. So back to concentrating on my business and just getting everything stabilized. And we're not sure how soon we'll be able to buy again. So that's something I had to realize too. It's kind of hard to see deals come through once in a while, and you can't really jump on anything, at least not right now, because we probably could do something if we got super creative, but then we'd be forcing it, and that might not be good either. Um, so anyway, that was just my thought this week. So Alex, you were talking about a deal that, and you're kind of exploring creative financing there too. So what's going on with that one?
So yeah, I just wanted to, I think it was Crystal, right, who just spoke. I just
Mhm.
wanted to let her know that I have a single family alligator in Santan Valley. Now, the way I ended up with that, it wasn't, I didn't purchase it as an investment, so I didn't underwrite it. It was more of a personal vacation home that I bought for myself. And so but the market down in Arizona, whether it's the Valley or Tucson, is completely different than where I'm at in the Pacific Northwest. It's a different animal down there.
Yeah, it's
Um,
interesting because I don't see very many people out here. And so everything you see for most of the conversations is definitely very different.
yeah, there's a fair amount of people that invest out there. Um, Jared, he does co-living to where he'll buy a 7 or 8 bedroom house and have multiple people live out of there. Um, and then but like I said, the strategies down there are just a little bit different.
Definitely.
So the way this came about, I'm probably going to keep most of the details out of it, but my wife ran into somebody, well, soon to be wife, ran into somebody and was talking to her or talking to that couple about a couple of or about some properties that they have. And they said kind of they it created just kind of a little comfortable uh um exchange where they were just talking and these other people said uh that they were at the point where they're ready to get out of their rentals, or they're at least that's the point in their life where they're at now. Then she was telling me about this conversation. She told them, well, if you're ever interested, my husband's into real estate investing, and we'd be happy to consider taking or buying them from you. And then later on, she came to me and she was like, "Yeah, I think you might know at least the guy in the relationship. They play soccer together, or you played soccer with them." I said, "Oh, and she said his name, and I was like, I knew exactly who she was talking about, and Now, of course, I can't just it's kind of hard to explain, but I can't just go and confront this guy about all this because of the nature of their conversation. It was more of a professional relationship, so I'm not really quite sure how to approach it. Um, but anyways, this guy owns a duplex, a quadplex, or a fourplex, and he owns a mobile, and he's got his house, and I know he's going to be working on an ADU here in the near future. Um, so I think and I know that he bought them. We have actually talked rental properties before, but it was in a different context, like bumping into each other at Home Depot or whatever. But I never really talked to him about acquiring his or what I had or what he had. But I'm kind of hoping that this could be an opportunity, knowing that they're ready to get out of the rental business, knowing that they've had their properties for a long time. So the amount they owe on them is probably little or nothing. And then, maybe being able to offer some sort of or talk to them about seller financing. And some of the benefits of that. So I don't want this one to be my first attempt at it. I want to get some experience, I want to get some knowledge, and I want to I, this is too good of a opportunity for me to fumble through it. I want to do my research. I want to be able to answer any questions that they have, and I want to approach it in a manner that is not salesman-y, but is more comfortable, um, more of a friendly conversation. And I thought one of the things that Dion recommended that I bring up is, maybe approaching him because he's been doing this longer than me from a perspective of what can you tell me about real estate investing and what can you teach me about real estate investing? And that could open up the opportunity. Ideally, I'd like to try seller financing with his duplex and see how that goes for him. And then if that works out and is comfortable for him and his family, then maybe pick up that fourplex later on. And I'm not really interested in the mobile, but if I buy these other things and that works for him and we can work out a deal to where it works for me, again, I don't really want to add that to my portfolio, but maybe this relationship that we create, it's another unit, and it might be a good enough deal to where I just buy it anyways. So this is kind of the situation that I'm in, and I'm open for any advice or experience or any recommendations or anything like that.
The mobile may be the problem he's trying to solve. That might be the property that turns too often. I do recommend being the student and letting him teach and see what he's got to say. The relationship is more valuable than the properties.
Thank you.
You will be able to pick up stuff more quickly that way. Troy will say something.
I was going to say the mobile home one. What do you not like about the mobile home, Alex?
It's not that I don't like the mobile home. I don't really know anything about the mobile home. I haven't even looked it up. I could look it up. I could get all that information. Um, I can't, that was kind of an ignorant statement, I guess. I don't like the mobile home because I've had them before. Really, it's just a matter I want multifamily, and that's not multifamily. So it's slightly outside my buy box. But if it cash flows, I can pivot.
What's the ground with it?
What's the ground with the mobile?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really looked into it. Um, I'd imagine it's real property. Um, I wouldn't be interested in it if it were, well, see, then again, I go painting myself in a corner again. Like I don't want to be that way.
I wouldn't be interested if it wasn't. I'm interested in the dirt. And mobile homes are easy to fix.
Yeah, and here people need places to live. Cost of living is ridiculous. So a mobile home rents quite well.
Hey, Alex.
Yep.
Um, how good of a relationship do you have with this person?
So I've played soccer with him for multiple years. So he's not on the same team, but that community is pretty tight. You just kind of know people. And then he went to our church for a while. He actually goes to a different church now, the same church, but a different branch or a different
Mhm.
congregation. So I would see him there. I don't know him. He's a nice enough guy. We get along just fine. I would call him on the verge of a acquaintance or a friend. He's not really tight with me, but I got his phone number and I could reach out to him and but it's been a while since I've seen him too. Playing soccer together, we used to do that in the past. And then
Hmm.
now that he goes to a different church, it's been a while since I've seen him. But we have bumped into each other at Home Depot quite regularly. It seems to be kind of almost not ironic, but yeah, kind of um, a little bit more than just a rare coincidence. But I don't want to sit around and wait for that. So I thought the church that I think he goes to, is not very far. Wouldn't be a big deal for me to go to that church on a Sunday instead of the one that I go to, um, and just you know, see people over there, bump into him, and go that route.
Gotcha. But you both, I mean, he knows that you're in real estate and you know he's in real estate. That's clear, correct?
Yes.
So if you just call him out of the blue and and let's say have that conversation, hey, we're how things going in your real estate, let them know how things going in yours. Say, hey, we're thinking about adding a couple more properties. Since you already know this information that he wants to sell those, you can bring that, we're thinking about adding more properties. Do you know anybody that might be willing to sell some properties? So
Yeah.
you're not asking him directly, but you're saying that, and then if he brings up him, then you have that perfect opportunity to negotiate that. And I wouldn't let, even though that the mobile is not in your buy box, if you can take all that away from him and help him out, you can always sell that mobile. And then, so if you did this over financing and you have everything on terms, you can sell that to pay him off even faster, or give him a larger chunk of money in the middle of you guys' negotiation or your terms.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. If I can move one that doesn't really fit my buy box, that'll allow me, if he's looking to get more up front, that might make that work. That's a good point. Almost like a wholesale deal, right? But a
Yep.
little thanks.
Hmm.
The other
I
thing
like,
you mentioned.
go
Oh,
for it. Mark. I mean, Frank, Mark, sorry.
okay, yeah, I was just going to say real quick, Alex, you mentioned, and I think Dion mentioned, Cody and Christian and how they developed relationships and that eventually helped them land deals. If you maybe if you approached it that way too, like um, I know, like if you already know he has those three properties and he knows that you could tell him like, I understand you have a two, a four, and a mobile. Which ones of those have been easier to handle over the years? Which ones have performed better over the years, and kind of lead in that way to start learning from him. And then I think what Ryan said was a great point as well. Then after you at least break the ice, then that conversation could go into what Ryan was saying, that you guys are looking to grow and wonder if
Have
he
you
has
done any
any.
homework, Alex?
What'd you say?
Have you done any homework
On these properties? No, I
on him?
just kind of looked into them.
On him?
I've,
On
huh?
him at the county property ID numbers? Do you know
Um,
exactly how much he owns?
okay. I can look into that. I haven't done that.
Showing some interest in what he owns, so you have an idea of it, ahead of time. The conversation that I would have if he's in the exiting process, which is a more advanced stage than where you are, that's the beginning of the conversation for me. How do you plan on exiting? That way you don't have any weird conversations about trying to position yourself. You're
Yeah,
in a position to be helped and maybe help him.
got it.
But I would also want, because I thought my buddy, because I had someone that I didn't know get transferred to me through a buddy, his brother-in-law. I thought he had 6 properties. Looked it up online. I found 9 of the 12. The last time I had a conversation with him was, what do you have? What do you plan on getting rid of? What are you keeping? Well, there's one for my daughter. Okay. He wants to sell everything else through the MLS. My next question, as we trickled through the conversation, is which tenants are you worried about protecting? Because he had 15 and 20-year tenants. So I did the math to see if I could protect those tenants. He wanted cash, but I started picking out his position to see how I could help. And then, quite honestly, I said, Joe, here's the deal, brother. Um, you seem to be a good operator, and I want you on my side. The reason I want some seller financing, it's not necessarily because of the money. I want you involved in the deal and guide me. But none of his family wanted, they didn't want the properties. There were problems. That's how I did the last one. And the last seller finance I did, I let the buyer or the seller dictate the terms by quite honestly playing stupid. Kind of knew a little bit. I just let him talk. But he told me the price range he wanted. So I asked for some of the indirectly for some of the terms. And that was playing stupid with, $1,000 a month, didn't talk insurance or interest rather. And he giggled and laughed. And next thing you know, I got $1,000 down, $1,000 a month, 119 months for a $120,000 purchase. That was in 19, into 19. Zillow currently says it's worth, bought it for 120. Zillow says it's doubled. And
That's
will be,
awesome.
but just like you were saying, that's a bit of an alligator because pity is 1,400. And I don't think I can carry that without putting 2 tenants on there. And what I mean there is there's outbuildings, it's 5 acres. I don't want to deal with the drama between tenants because one of the tenants may be my daughter when we've got another piece of property that she could be repositioned to.
Yeah.
So that is how I handled mine.
So, talk to him about what his exit strategy is, and then also see what his interests are. Is what tenants he's trying to protect, and then, like you mentioned, instead of talking interest and things that are complicated, approach it. I don't want to say from a dumb perspective, but as somebody who's new, and let him teach me, and then keep my mouth shut. So instead of bringing up, hey, what if I give you 3% or 5% interest, just kind of see what he's looking for and find the best way to meet that.
Don't be a deal maker with your buddies. They don't like it. Just see where you're at. And because honestly, you're gonna have that problem one day too. What am I gonna do with these? Which ones do I hold? Why do I hold them? Why are you letting go of them? Um, what's happening? Because there may be a bunch of things there that you don't know about. Somebody might be sick, somebody might be wanting to reposition. You don't know what problems you can solve. But in the meantime, you're being a friend and learning from a friend. Serve them first. And then through that, he'll serve you. There, I'm talking too much.
No,
I,
you're
I,
not.
I agree with you, Charles, but everybody. So, my wife and I had we probably bought 7 houses owner financing, and the first one was almost like what you're saying. The first deal we did, We actually put a large amount of money down because we never did seller financing before. But after that, after having that relationship, we started making the terms at that point. So I think the first property we bought was a duplex. I think we put $12,000 down. Our payment may have been like $500 a month. We refinanced that one, cashed them out. Every other house that we bought from there on was $1,000 down and probably about 350 a month. So we were cash flowing great, but we did a 5-year term. But
Mhm.
this was a very experienced investor. He's retiring. So his problem was his wife was never in it with him. So he just wanted to get rid of properties. But until we got that trust, at that point, then he's just giving us those properties.
Yep.
As long as he knew we could make those payments and wouldn't have any problems, he was a-okay with that.
The
So
problem that I think
Thank you. I'm going to shut off you just for a moment.
he was taxes. Y'all look frozen. I don't know if I'm getting out.
I heard you
So
and then you kind of froze up.
Guys talk
Troy,
about me.
I had to shut off my video for a minute because somebody just came to my house and my dog started going nuts.
So I had something to say. Can you guys hear me good now? I was going for that.
yeah, we got you, Troy.
Hey, Alex, something to consider is, I'm not fully aware of all the situation that we got going on here. Something that, you can approach to him about is simply saying, it's like, did he explain to you that he's got a fourplex at all, Alex?
So I haven't actually talked to him about those things specifically. He was talking to um my wife about his rentals.
And did he say anything specifically, or just saying that, oh, he's got rentals, that's about it?
Well, they were talking about the duplex and the fourplex, and what he said is they're at the phase where they're ready to exit. And then my wife said, "Well, my husband is interested when the time comes, and feel free, please reach out to me." And then when she came home and was talking to me, she didn't realize that we knew each other and that we had a history. So she didn't know that already existed. So I haven't actually reached out to him because I haven't seen him in a while. So for me to reach out would be um a little out of the norm. And then also I have to make sure that the way I approach this situation, as much as he is, we're friendly and we get along and we know each other and all that stuff, the way that they ran into one another was in a professional situation. So I have to make sure that I'm not overstepping my boundaries. I need to make sure that the way I approach him is professionally acceptable. And that's not for me, and that's not as far as real estate's concerned, but that's as far as a few other things.
So you're concerned about the relationship that, say, your wife and him have, that, if you come across pushy, that it might create a ripple in relationships in a professional way.
Well, that and they were talking about this based on her profession and their profession. So for her to go and share this information with me, personal information or anything like that, could be considered unprofessional. Now, the truth is, she didn't share anything that is personal um, directly. I was just able to figure out who it was and know that we have a relationship.
So when she mentioned to him that when you're ready to exit, to give him a call, what was his response?
Um, I think it was one of those. He First of all, he didn't know that it was me, or maybe he did actually. But I don't know for sure whether he did or didn't. And it seems like it was one of those kind of nonchalant, like, yeah, sure, be sure to do that. And I'd like an opportunity to follow up to make that a little bit more than just a passing goodbye statement. Does that make sense?
It does. I, this is my, this is a really good opportunity for you. Um, don't read into it further than you already are, because you're creating a narrative and you're spinning it a bunch of different directions. I understand the sensitivity of being concerned about the professional relationship that your wife and him have. At the same time, he's in real estate, and people that are in real estate, they're all about doing deals that benefits them. That's why they get in the game. So if you don't jump on this opportunity, what if someone else had the exact same scenario presented to them and they said, "Oh, I'm gonna give this guy a call," and just be cordial about it and say, "Hey, I'm interested in learning about what you've done to get to where you're at. Would you like to get together and maybe talk about it over a cup of coffee?" That scenario is more likely that person could end up securing that deal versus you being overly concerned about the professional nature of it. What I'm trying to explain to you is the best, I think, course of action is to simply do what has been suggested by Brian and Mark, and that's by simply reaching out to him and saying, "Hey, I was talking to my wife, and she'd mentioned that you guys had bumped into each other over whatever occasion that transpired. She mentioned to me that you have rentals, and we're also in real estate as well. She mentioned to me you had a duplex and a quadplex. And hey, I'm looking at scaling up my business right now. I see that you have some properties that, that's kind of like where I want to go with things. I want to be able to acquire some small multifamily properties. And I feel like you might be able, since you're further along in your real estate than I am, I'd love to learn from whatever you could offer me. Would it be possible to get together and maybe have a cup of coffee?" You knowing the information already, it what it allows you to do is kind of point or steer the conversation in a direction that could be beneficial to you with the things that he may bring up in conversation. You understand what I'm saying?
I do. And I look at this as a great opportunity that I don't want to mess up, but I also don't want to miss on, right? If I miss on it,
Exactly.
it's just as bad it's probably worse than messing it up, because if I mess it up, I'll learn something from it. So,
Honestly, don't
yes.
don't worry about messing things up. I think we all get in that place of worrying about messing something up to the point to where we get an analysis paralysis and then we don't take advantage of opportunities.
Yeah.
Usually good opportunities come by just jumping in head first and screwing shit up, to be quite frank.
Yeah.
No pun intended there, Frank, either. But honestly, like the one thing that you could bring up to him in the conversation as well is like, "Hey, have you ever purchased any of your properties seller financing or what by, being creative or anything like that?" I've been presented a couple of opportunities to do that by, purchasing some properties. And I've, with our current market, there's been some really good properties that I've wanted to buy, but like, honestly, when it comes to buying it just doesn't work, traditionally. What's your experience been with that? And just, you can float that out there to see how he responds to that. Because that's a good way to sit there and see if they are open to it in a very non-confrontational way.
Thanks, Troy. I wrote that down. That's a great idea, is asking him what his experience with those types of things are.
Yeah. And then just, "Hey, what's your experience with running a quadplex?" That's, I don't have one yet, but that's what I'm looking to acquire. What's been your challenges with it? What do you feel has been the best thing about it? Just, I mean, that could go down a whole host of different questions and directions. And then one of the things you might want to just bring to his attention is just like, tell him what your goals are. "Hey, this is where I'm trying to get with my real estate acquisitions, my real estate business. This is where I want to be in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And I see that you're at the point right now where you're looking to exit. Like, what can you tell me that I could do right now that can move me forward?
Thanks, Troy. I'm writing a lot. I'm writing these things, these questions that you're bringing up.
Not a problem.
Definitely, I like the idea of asking them about the quadplex and the challenges. I haven't done that. It seems like a great idea. What's your experience with it?
It's a good way to open up, and then when you ask those questions, hang yourself. Like, allow him to talk. And it's like, I'm terrible at that. I'll fully admit I'm a talker. You guys all know that. But
Me too.
it's allow them the space to talk about things, and they will tell you a lot. And they might be willing to tell you more than they probably should.
I love it.
Ask him which fourplexes to avoid. Ask him about the deals he doesn't take.
I mean, he'll probably open up and tell you about the mobile. There could be a lot there that there could be a really good opportunity there. And I know a lot of people are not like super keen on mobiles, but like Charles said, they're super easy to fix. And there's a lot of opportunity there too. Because for one thing, I'll tell you this, not a lot of people buy them because it's hard to get financing on them because there's only so many few lenders out there. But there are lenders out there. And if you could get that for a really good deal, you'd be surprised. This is what I did to buy my property in Kansas City. We bought it cash for really cheap, fixed up a double wide, turned around, and I got a loan on it through 21st Century Mortgage. Got a $110,000 mortgage on it. Then took that property and turned it into a flip. And then sit there and turned around and sold it for 138 and still made money, and took that money I made on that and put it into our primary property.
Right on. That point that mobiles are hard to get financing on is something that could lend itself to seller financing.
Yes, and that's where that could be like your key to getting into seller financing, because it's like he might want to roll all those properties out. Well, he could. This is just a hypothetical. The hypothetical being like maybe he wants to sell all these as a portfolio. And that might be something that you might be able to pull off, or you might not be able to pull off. Say you finance one of the properties with traditional lending, but you buy the rest of the portfolio in the seller financing. And with the seller financing deal, it might just give him the monthly cash flow that he wants to be able to retire off of. And then you have it set up as a balloon to pay it off in 5, 7, 10 years. You know what I'm saying?
Here's the other thing. I haven't got the tax bill on the newest property I bought. So the other four, highest is 6,000 in taxes. Next one's about 3,500. Then we're just under 2,000. The largest, 10 acres with a mobile home, is 200.
That's a good point. Taxes are cheap on mobiles.
It depends on the property and how they assess it.
That's
really
what can
different.
change the margins.
Yep. Oh yeah. And if it's in a park, which usually it's not, because I'll tell you this much, it's very unlikely it's in a park, simply because you can't. Most parks don't allow you to rent them out.
I don't think it's in a park. I'm pretty sure it's not.
I highly doubt it, because there are very, very, very few. Very few. I've looked at buying mobiles and turn them into rentals at many parks. Most of them, it's against their
So
park policy.
the other challenge is making sure the mobile home's got a title.
Yes. I was gonna say, if he's interested in selling the mobile, you got several of us here to reach out to you to walk you through that process.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, thank you for sharing all that information, Troy, Charles, Ryan, right? Everybody. I really appreciate it. I got a lot of stuff to consider, and but Troy, thanks for encouraging me not to kind of sit on this and try and get it perfect, but to at least make the reach out to him and see where things can go. Or I mean, just reach out and start a regular conversation and maybe a lunch and
Exactly. That's how. So I've learned a lot of this because I'm also in the multifamily strategies mentorship program, and this is like primarily strategy number one is reaching out to owners, get to know them, explain to them your goals, where you're trying to go, how you're trying to, what you plan on getting there, and it's basically all you're doing is establishing a relationship with those owners. From there, they might start bringing you properties that they want to sell, or they might know somebody that has properties that want to sell.
all right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, one thing I want to add too to everybody that's on the call. I'm not sure what everybody's experience is, but don't be afraid to fail. I mean, that's the that's one of the greatest things my wife and I did in this process. We've been doing this over 13 years, and fail fast so you can learn from it and adapt and change. So,
tell me about some of your failures. What are you screwed up on?
Me
uh,
or
we,
Ryan?
we, we, don't- we don't have that kind of time.
Ah,
I
just
was
give
gonna say,
me just give
Mark's
me
here, so it's time to go, guys.
I would say one of our biggest failures or was buying too much too fast. And everyone gets excited by getting real estate. And then you see a good deal, like, oh, I have to get that deal. And then you see another one pop, I have to get that one too. Instead of just concentrate on getting one, getting it ready, getting it rented out. So there's a time that I bought right before COVID, we bought 6 houses in probably 3 months.
Wow.
And then COVID hit. And then even though we got those houses for a great deal, once we fixed them up to get ready to refinance cash out, we couldn't do it. And so that was huge, a huge lesson.
How'd you weather that storm?
uh we're still going through that storm a little bit, honestly, but starting to buy smart. Um yeah, my wife just said she won't let me buy anything else. But yeah, just actually making sure everything we buy from this point on makes sense. And also, we bought a ton of owner finance properties as well, and then refinance and got some of those to where they need to be. And also, some of the properties that we bought back then that we couldn't refinance, well, they're worth a lot more money now. So we haven't refinanced all of them because we still want some equity. But we could do that as well to take care of some of the debt that we still have left over from that time. But no, we're doing pretty good though. So I'm happy with
I'm,
the decisions we made.
I'm still not hearing why that was a bad idea.
Hey, it was all about, so the market worked for us in that time because we got those properties for a good price. We could not refinance at that time, but we held on to them. We kept them. We went through that storm, and
Hey,
now
alligator?
no, we never bought an alligator.
It sounds like to me it's still a home run. Just a lot of stress.
Yeah, yes. So
Oh,
I've got one
ready
alligator
to go.
already, trying to avoid getting more.
No
oh, so
alligators, Alex. No more.
yeah, no alligators. So the mobile home kind of makes me think of a package deal that we bought before too. There was two houses that were in a bad neighborhood, and the package that we bought off another investor. I did not want those houses at all. They did cash flow, but the blessing is that once we closed that deal, we actually sold those two houses 1031 exchange into better houses that maybe not cash as much, but their appreciation, and they still cash flow.
So what made you realize you could flip them?
But you won on appreciation.
I've never bet on appreciation. I knew I could flip them because everybody's buying here right now, and at the price point that we bought it at. What's so funny, Charles? So look, think about it.
Bought right's half sold, brother. Know your backyard. Bought right is half sold.
Yep.
You have no idea how many times, like a week, I see something and go, ooh, that I'm like, do you want to do the work?
Yes. No. Yep. Yeah, I mean, one of the houses I'm telling you about, we bought for $35,000. We sold it without. Now we didn't do anything to this house, but it was not in a good neighborhood. But it cash flow. We sold that house for $100,000. Never did anything
There
to
you
it.
go.
It cash flow probably what was it about $500 a month? $500 a month. We kept it for 2 years, and then we
Yep.
1031 exchanged it into another property.
There you go.
It's all about knowing your market and timing.
Well,
Which you can't. We all know we can't time the market though.
the only way you can work timing is if you know your market and you know which way things are going, or you're like,
Absolutely.
we've been high, this is low, and I've got the ability, I'm ready, let's pick it up. And ready and willing. That's kind of the other part of this is buying too much too quick,
Yep.
overload. It's like as a contractor saying yes too much when you just can't keep up. You're afraid of losing something. And in my humble opinion, if it's going to end in a fight, let's pick a fight early with a no. Can't
Yep.
do it, won't do it, can't be there. That way things aren't twisted.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
because we all like to please. So, and then you get older and you get tired and realize, huh, I'm stupid.
That's why
Or
we're not
that's
buying.
for me.
That's why we're not buying right now. We're just flipping and helping other investors that, yeah.
And you can prune what you've got. You're almost always going to miss something that you get rid of. You put a lot of yourself into buying it, whether you research or whatever, and to see it go, it almost always bothers you. But there's a point where you realize I shouldn't be carrying this much, or at least most of us do. And some people, they got to go, go, go. Great. I'm not going to go, go, go with you.
Yeah. Charles, it all depends what season of life you're in, my friend.
Yep. Mark's in here causing trouble, I tell you.
Okay, Frank's gone for a second, so I jumped in. So, what has been this is open for anybody, what's been your biggest challenge?
The fact that we don't get to talk to you more often.
Nice try. Next. What's been your biggest challenge in real estate? How's that?
Getting Cynthia on camera.
Nice try.
Sourcing funds. I mean, regular funds, like a regular person, saving money to be able to make the next move.
Yeah. So
that requires patience, and I don't have that.
Yeah. Do you find yourself going through withdrawal?
Set up if we bring a group of people out here.
Do you find yourself going through withdrawals after you do that buy and you get off that high and you still want to keep buying, but you know you can't, and you kind of go through a little depression and a little whatever?
I don't have to buy to go through that cycle. I go, if I find a property that I'm working on, I'll, even looking at it and everything, it requires so much of me that once I'm done, I do feel a void. And I do, yeah, exactly. That cycle that you're talking about, that coming down off that high, that's very real for me.
Yeah. I've seen Frank go through that, where he's on the hunt and he just gets this spark, and then we get the property, we get it going, and then it's not there anymore, and it's that race for that buy, I guess. So what's another challenge? What other challenges have you guys come across?
I just want to address how I'm dealing with that right now. Maybe
Okay.
share with that so that might help. So I was looking to buy something to house hack primary, or I'd have to move. But then I realized I have some projects around my house that I didn't finish, like a bathroom that needed to be remodeled. So when I sorry go when I missed out on that, I don't want to say I missed out on that deal, but when I didn't make that deal work, I realized that had I made it work, I would have to come home and finish up these projects and get my current house ready to go. So I decided to take that on, and that's kind of filling the void, knowing full well that I'm not ready right this moment, but I
Yeah.
could be. If something came across, I could deal with it. And I got something else kind of distracting me, which sounds a little bit like what Frank was talking about,
Yeah.
stabilizing a little bit for now and focusing on what we have at hand. And if there's not a deal out there, go make some more money so you can buy the next one.
Exactly. And stabilizing, that's critical. If you don't stabilize, that's going to kick you in the behind when it comes back around, because it doesn't matter how much money you have, you're going to be throwing it back in. So stabilizing, making sure everything's set before moving on to the next one, that's key. Well, he's back. Sorry, guys. Got to go. Nice talking to you.
All right. What did she say?
You're in trouble.
You're awesome.
You can ask her. Our house is all buttoned up. Everything is just perfect.
That's not what she said. She said you were out working on your to-do list.
Oh, trust me, he has a to-do list. It's still there.
We know.
Yeah, you know exactly, Alex, when we were talking about the fact that we're hoping to head up to Washington, and I walk around and I see all these things that need to be done before we could sell our house. I don't know if we'll end up moving. The list is too long. Wanted to
No, like everybody else, you get it all done right before you sell it, and you don't get to enjoy what you just did.
Yeah, you make it perfect for the next person, right?
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Alex, if you need help remodeling a bathroom, you got a few guys here that could come up and visit, get it done in a weekend. Well,
That would be amazing. But I think if you came up here, we'd be out looking at properties and goofing around.
yeah, we'd be a little distracted. I just wanted to say real quick, Eden is with us here this evening. She's a friend from outside of school. So welcome, Eden. If you would like to, just say where you're from and where you invest, if you don't mind, and if you want to wait till the next meeting, that's okay too.
Now it's fun as well. Hi, everyone. My name is Eden. I kind of communicate with Frank a lot recently because we have I became an accidental landlord in Missouri. The original plan was to buy the property, fix it up, and sell it. But because the market's a little bit soft, so we decide to hold it.
Hey, make sure he slows down.
So my real estate, I'm really new actually with real estate. Mine hasn't been easy. The fact that I invest out of state, and I learned a lot through myself, and especially because I wasn't able to kind of fly out, right? Because I still have the W-2 job, and I have to rely on everybody to do things should have been done right, I guess. But it's been really a journey for sure. So for my one rental in Missouri, even with I fix it up, I try to rent it. My rental income right now it break even, literally break even. So but I'm thankful, right? At least I don't have to pitch in and kind of see where it's at. the property is in a very good neighborhood. I'm not sure if any one of us familiar with Missouri. Oh, by the way, I live in California. So as we all know, my market is super duper expensive. That's why, like Frank, we kind of go out of state. I decided to go out of state. Um, so yeah, it never been intended to hold this property, but I became an accidental landlord. So that's my journey.
We're at Missouri.
Richmond High.
Nice.
Richmond High. Yes.
No, that's on the west side, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah. It's in St. Louis County, I believe.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
It is hard work, but it's worth it. And it will get better as you learn and continue to go through the experience.
Yeah, thank you. And actually, I 50% share my journey. Since actually when I bought a project, I bought one, which is this project that then, I made them, I guess I tried to grow too fast, too quick, and I end up getting two properties the same time in literally a month. The goal back then was to also, fix it up and then sell it as well. My second one didn't go as planned. It was really bad. There was delay on constructions. The loan was due. Long story short, we end up releasing during construction. And it wasn't good experience. It was really, really a journey. But you know what? I take it and as a lesson learned. And then, like everybody said in this group, Frank told me this. In real estate, you have to go it slow to get rich quick. And I really truly learned that through the journey of mine. Yeah. So now I'm not buying anything. I'm trying to stabilize this one little property of mine. It's only one. And, a year from now, and then we will see how that goes. But the challenge for me personally is because I live in California, right? My market, it just, as we all know, it's just very different. It's very expensive. But I know for a fact that, I have to find a way or tweak my process to make it work out of state. So I became very, really, really hands-on. I think sometimes it's too much on the people I involve it to, because if I text them, I literally wait for that text to get respond, or I would send email constantly, and that's something that I got to learn to navigate through, because I rely on people, on everybody, to look at the property, to even check the gutter. Like today, it was like 10 or 20 emails within half an hour. So that's something I got to learn to navigate through it. But let's see if our state, it's my thing. But at the same time, I get stuck because I live in California. So what the next step? I don't know yet, but I will figure that out. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Learn the things too. Yeah.
Excited that you're here. I got a message today, and I've shared with Eden, our property manager, I really like there in St. Louis. And I got an email today saying that one of the properties, they put in a maintenance request for the handrails being loose on the front and the back of the house. And I had gotten a text message. So they also have a text chain that they notify us of things. And 6 weeks ago, I had gotten a text message that the tenant asked about the rails being loose.
Mm-hmm.
And so my first thing was, this has already been, so the email said, we're trying to handle this in a timely fashion. We'll let you know what happens. But then I thought, well, you guys texted me 6 weeks ago about this. Why is it taking so long?
Right.
And it should have been handled already. And then they replied, well, Frank, you didn't okay for us to go out there and check it out. So we didn't go. Right.
Oh.
So these are the kinds of things that we deal with. I won't let that happen again. So I guess it's a learning experience, right? But it's just part of the process. And I was telling Eden through one of our conversations that even though things didn't go as perfect as she had hoped they would, I think she's going to have an opportunity now that she's going to hang on to it. She'll get the place leased out for the year, see how all that works, and it might be she'll be able to learn if out-of-state investing is something she wants to pursue or not. So that's another good thing that might come out of it. We always hope and pray that we get good tenants, but that's the next part of the journey, right? You
Right.
don't know who you're going to get, no matter how well they are screened and things like that. You guys have heard me talk about the gun lady. She's finally out. She got out last week. She was actually going to get tossed out by the sheriff on Thursday, and she moved out on Wednesday. So all of that stuff came about. So we're excited. We switched property managers there, and we're waiting for the scope of work to get the unit turned around and hoping we can get a little bit better rent. So there's things to look forward to, but there's still going to be some challenges. I think she might have left a vehicle in the yard. So, we're going to need to probably pay to get that removed and things. So it's constantly just learning. And I think, Eden, we didn't really pick an easy strategy, right? I thought it would be, well, we started buying turnkeys, and even those have had their challenges, but we're in it now. We're going on year 5. So I think we've still done better than our first time around, right? Because we lost those properties the first time we tried to do it in 2007. And then after going through bankruptcy and all that stuff, we've learned a ton, and we're still trying it a second time. So hopefully this time's going to be much better.
Hey, Frank, and or anybody else, is there anything in your leases that actually have a thing that you can't have unregistered vehicles on your property?
I'll have to double check that. I was just getting, when I was talking a few weeks ago about getting a hold of all the PMs and learning about the eviction process, because they're different in every state. We're in 4 different states, but we have been getting the property management agreements that we signed. And that's another thing. That's another mistake that I made, was you just sign, let's get it done. But I didn't read them before I signed them, right? I'm just trusting these people that they know what they're doing, and then learning after the fact. So at least, even though I made that mistake, at least nothing catastrophic happened, and I can, again, do better the next time. Or I can, know what questions to ask before I hire another property manager. I think I did a better job hiring the new one than I did hiring any of the others. The one that I really, really like came highly recommended from our first property manager, who we're still with on a different property. So I don't know what else to say, except that, and I always share. I'm willing to share all of our mistakes, because things like that could help someone else in the group. And I know a lot of people, maybe you, Eden, you might be like that. I'm going to get the property management agreement and read every single line, right, before I sign anything. But I don't know. I was just, this is the process. Let's get a tenant in there. And everything's going to be perfect.
For me, it's I do read the agreements, but then after I read it, and then I was like, okay, so what is next, right? Like, what voice or what options do I have if I disagree with them? That's what for me, where I get stuck. I understand at least majority what I signed for, or at least I hope I do. But then I'm like, okay, so if I disagree with them, then what's next, right? Is there a room for me to negotiate with them, or for clarification, put in an addendum, and in those nature. But even so, I feels like I'm really so new in this real estate journey, which with my very first, well, with my very mistake that I made, I learned to be really cautious, like really, really super cautious. I double, triple check. I revisit my decisions like maybe 10 times. But now it also backfire on me because I'm like, okay, now what do I do? Because I don't have the confidence enough to make the decision anymore. So I'm kind of, navigate through this journey, like what is the right way, right? And for me, um, what I did really did wrong though, and that's my mistakes. Big one, even if I simplify it, is that I invest our state and then I took on two projects the same time. Plus, I'm also a full-time employee. With that limitations, right? Even if, I would wake up really early in the morning, I manage the projects, like literally communicate with them on a daily basis, but there's always room for error. And because there are multiple elements of renovations, like for example, like a classic example, right? One of my contractors, he's really good, but the items that he didn't want me to see it, he would not even show me on YouTube or on video. So he would show me what he wanted me to see, but it did great. It have done an amazing job, but the one that he didn't want me to see it, he didn't show it until like later on, when before, like literally 2 weeks before the property went on market. That's when I found out through literally an appraiser. And all of a sudden I'm like, okay, how come my red brick, it's not painted, there's no feeling, and all those natures, right? So for me, it's literally when I decided to take all those two projects at the same time. Sometime I didn't think that I would stay without me there, and of course I'm a W-2 employee. I did not factor those in. I thought that with communication through the phone, with emails, with the updates, it would be enough, and it's not, right? And in addition to that, also another property that I had that didn't work because the contractor literally just didn't pick up my phone. It started really well, communications and all that, and also then stop. And then we wait, and then he give excuses. And another mistake that I learned was I didn't fire him faster. I keep waiting. He keep telling me, hey, I'm gonna be, like a month later, right? It's gonna take me about 3 months to finish it. And then I wait, and then I wait. By the time I found out, I'm like, hold on a second. 4 months passed by, and had many lenders only 1 year. I don't have time for these projects. By then, things went really bad, right? So that I end up have to kind of release the project during construction. So there are multiple mistakes that I made, and especially for a newbie too. Even if I, built my own ADU here, with my primary resident in California, but I'm out here, right? Physically, I'm out here. I could check the properties. I could, I have a better control. But our state, I don't. And none of those registered when I decided to acquire two projects at the same time.
Yeah, I
And
think.
yeah,
Oh, go
go ahead.
ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, thank you for sharing all that. I know it's not easy all the time, and but it really helps other people. I think, Ryan, what you were saying earlier, and a lot of us have said, right? You buy too much too fast. Eden just shared that. You shared it. I've shared it. And we say all this to help other people not make that mistake. But I know I've shared all of the negative side of buying too much too fast with other people, but they don't listen to that. They just they're excited too in the beginning, and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'll do better than Frank did, or I'll do better than Ryan did, or whoever it might be." And so I just find that kind of funny that, you know, even we're telling them all these bad things that happened because we did it, and they jump in
Hey,
anyway.
Frank.
So, yeah.
I think the biggest thing is everyone takes something to take away from the people that they looked up to in their investment journey. And they, so like they take the biggest fault, and honestly, like a lot of movies run with this plot is, but basically they take like you're saying people go too fast and they're like, okay, well, they look at all the other faults and be like, okay, if I do this, and this, I won't run in the same situation, not realizing that the symptoms that you described, the A, B, C, D, were caused by what you're saying going too fast. And that's kind of a thing I've been arguing a little bit with several people is slow and steady. Now, granted, I've made my own mistakes, and it's not because of going too fast. It's just other things. And it's funny because like I'll say this, and I see the people making the same mistakes that I made. And it's like, no, I'll explain to you the symptoms, or the symptoms are this, but it's all caused by this.
Yeah, I think I forget what other video we were on, but we were talking about this and how people don't really listen. They So if you think, Jack, you tell them, buy one, get it stabilized, and then you stabilize it for maybe 6 months or a year where you're getting consistent rents. You know how your tenant's going to be treating the place and stuff like that. And they think, wow, if I only buy one a year, it's going to take me forever to get to my goal. So then they push too hard. And with Cynthia and our journey, I talk about being closer to retirement. So for me, that was my reason for wanting to go as fast as I could, because I don't have, 20 or 30 years like you guys have to let appreciation kick in and rents to raise over the years and principal pay down and all these great things that happen with real estate. So, but I think I'm one of the exceptions, being further along in as far as age anyway. But so I thought I had a good reason to go fast, but it turns out if I had gone a little slower, I probably would be further along.
Well, I'll tell you another thing. I think you and Cynthia did right, and everyone wants to bash you guys on. And I talked to in my last video that went up on Tuesday, I think it was, with Brandon Potts. Is I personally feel like you should invest in multiple markets. And I know Dion and everyone else wants to bash you on that, but I think you guys did that right. And let me explain why. Because it's very hard to come across a market that has both appreciation and cash flow and everything else. So, like I've said in the past, and even on my channel a few times, Pittsburgh's where I'm going to invest for the cash flow to get to financial independence. Now, I'm not saying that once I hit that, I'm never done with Pittsburgh again. I'm going to just invest a little bit differently in what I do. But my goal is to then switch to Indianapolis, Indiana, because you can buy bigger multi-units, which again is an appreciating market. And I was thinking about maybe going to either Texas at that point to then try to get a appreciating market, but I'm probably going to almost be paying straight up cash in those places.
That's a good point. I've seen in a couple of videos recently some other investors that are in multiple markets. I forget who I saw today, but they were in 4 or 5 different states. So it kind of it kind of gives you a little bit of a boost, to think that, or maybe I'll be accidentally successful because I started in 4 different states. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
There's Frank, no how many jobs would you start at once?
I'm sorry.
How many jobs would you start at once?
Well, I've been there too. When I was young and just starting out in business, I didn't want to say no to anything. I think maybe you mentioned that earlier.
What happens?
You don't make any money. You're too busy.
And then what happens?
Yeah, you're too busy running around trying to keep everybody happy, and then you end up not making any money, and nobody's happy. So you end up losing business because of that
So
reason.
there's nothing about the markets that matter. It's about the pace. So what I was going to ask you is if you said you were going to go slower, how would that have helped you? And how would you have gone slower?
Yeah, I think, well, right off the top of my head, I think if I had gone slower, I wouldn't have had, well, I think over the past year, I've had several sleepless nights. I wouldn't have had that if I had stabilized our first couple of properties, because we ended up at 7 properties, right? And we used a lot of our money to buy those. We did keep reserves, but even though we had reserves, we burned through every penny of the reserves. So I was searching for a way to come up with money to make it. If I hadn't done that, even if I had just not bought the last 2, we would have come through it a lot better. And I think that's the biggest thing. I know the cash flow wouldn't be where it could be today. Once these are all stabilized, it will be okay, but I think I
Hey
would feel
Frank,
better.
when you guys burned through those reserves that you talk about, what, if you don't mind sharing, what roughly would you say kind of amount are you talking about with your 3 units? Because that's our big thing. We have extra reserves just because I like sleeping at night too, and if I have to worry about an AC going out and a new roof and a water heater all in the same month, I can cut that check and not be stressed about it. I'm not gonna be happy about it, but
Mm-hmm.
but when all that stuff comes right in.
You cut out a little bit, Josh.
Yeah.
Eden, what I can tell you, Eden, is number one, I think you're intelligent. Number two, I think you're in a good spot. As long as you don't quit, you're going to win because your confidence is going to come back because your brain, how I'm watching your brain work, you're going to be okay.
Thank you.
The relationships, communicating with contractors, you've got like 5 or 6 of them on here. They'll give you a better perspective of the problems that we've all faced as contractors. So you know when we're messing up and when we're not. I'm like 3.5 hours from your property. I get down that way every now and again. If you need a drive by or something's weird happening, hit Frank up or whatever. You can get a hold of me. I don't
Oh,
mind.
thanks, Charles. Yeah. Thank you.
So just keep your head up. I think you are exactly where you need to be. Now, your ambition has gotten a little bit of pain, but
Yes.
you haven't quit. And even though you felt overwhelmed, you've decided to educate yourself. You've become proactive and empower yourself. And this is what this is all about.
Yeah, thank you. It's yes, to say it lightly, it has been journey. And to add to Frank's point too, peace of mind and losing sleep is probably my biggest thing. Well, it got better now since finally I found a tenant for my little projects, right? My little home. We found it last week. We in the process to finalize with the city, so I feel so much better there. But of course, there's always something to fix with properties, with any property, I guess. Um, but yeah, definitely, it's a lesson learned for sure. It's and one thing at a time, stabilize it and go it from here.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Charles is right. I think the longer we're in it, the more I guess the more options we'll have because of the things that we're learning, like uh, again, we'll have to circle around back to what Josh was saying because I think that was interesting. We just lost him for a minute, but when we used up our reserve, so in the beginning, my wife wanted to have $10,000 per door, right? We have 10 doors, so we had $100,000 sitting there. I used 30,000 or whatever to buy the last property, and then all of the other 70 went for major repairs, right? So we have nothing. But then one of the properties that we paid cash for, we were able to do a cash out refinance for to at least get some money to keep going. So those kinds of things, learning about that kind of stuff is life-saving. And I know the further we get along in the journey, the more options that will come about like that. So I'm grateful for that.
Hey, Frank, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So what if you would have burned like 3 or 4 of those properties and then done like bought one a year but do burrs on the other ones? Do you think it would have been a lot different? Because then you wouldn't have as much maintenance because most of that stuff is taken care of.
Yeah, I'm sure it would have. And you guys know too that I haven't seen any of our properties in person.
Right.
That was another thing. So yeah, I could see that the way you're doing it or the way you hope to do it.
Yeah.
Well, you have a couple going right now, right? Everything's going to be new in the property and they should be set for a while as far as maintenance and CapEx.
Yeah. 10 years minimum. Anything that's going to happen is going to be a tenant issue.
Mm-hmm.
Unless a tree falls on it, obviously.
Right. And that's
which I got
what,
a very big potential because there's a lot of trees.
Yeah, trees have been coming up lately. That's kind of where Eden's at too, because her place has been totally remodeled. So when she talked about, being break even on that property, I think she'll still be okay, right? Because everything in the property is new, so she shouldn't have any big expenses. And I would think that she has some backup just in case something big happened,
Yes.
like a
Yes.
HELOC or whatever it is, a rich aunt or something. But
Yes.
but hopefully you won't need to go there, I hope. And but yeah, Charles, I think last year I didn't think that mentally I would be in the space where I am now, but I'm still hopeful. I'm still, not going to give up and that kind of thing. We're still finding ways to, with all the stuff that we're learning, how to manage property managers is probably our biggest challenge, but we're trying to stay on them and not let things slip through the cracks. Like I just mentioned earlier about that 6-week thing. And we do have proof, the triplex. So we have the triplex up in St. Joseph, Missouri, which is going well. The duplex in Milwaukee is going well. Those tenants, one just re-signed the lease for this new year. And that market, the cash flow isn't the best out of our portfolio, but it has appreciated. So I think we, again, got lucky there that it's in a good area. It's in a good market. And then again, to Jack's point, we wouldn't have that if we were only investing in St. Louis. So, we'll see where it goes, but I'm optimistic and hopeful. And you guys sharing all these challenges is really helpful. I think a lot of people over the last few weeks have commented that, wins are good. Wins are good to hear about, but the challenges help more people than anything. How you guys are getting through it, that you're continuing, Eden, to move forward, and just how you got through it, because they're going to learn through that if they come up against that situation as well.
Yeah, and for me too, I would like to share. Maybe I'm the, like a newbie in this journey, but I wish I would just do a turnkey, like like Frank. What I did, I just jumped in through renovation right away. Charles said no.
You bumping your head right away made you be cautious. That saved you a bunch of money. You get 2 or 3 wins too fast with too much optimism, you're fixing to bump more than your head.
Yeah, then you think you know everything right off the bat, and it could hurt
Yeah.
later. But also, I was going to say, Eden, we started with turnkeys, but even the turnkeys have the challenges because the turnkey providers have contractors rehabbing those units. So it was a whole year and a half before we settled on a turnkey because they would send me pictures of their work, and it was nowhere near up to par.
Mm.
Things that the turnkey provider didn't repair and came up during inspection, right? So we passed on several. We had the issue of renovation starting before winter, and it took them all winter long to get the thing done. So that was another thing. I lost 1 or 2 earnest money deposits through that journey. I paid for inspections for 5 or 6 different properties that we passed on. So, and those are all learning lessons too. I mean, learning costs a little bit sometimes, but thankfully now we know a lot better and we can do better. But I think. Go ahead.
I got one suggestion because it's hard for me because I invest in my backyard, and but we've also had a lot of education on um being our own property management. So I mean, I would almost kind of reverse that. If you guys are learning that, don't let your property management company dictate what they're going to do. You tell them what you want and make sure that they're going to go in that direction as well. And for some of you guys that are in California, um, what a lot of people that I know, other investors, they are building. So I have one of my partners in another business that we have. He's in Nashville, but he's actually building in Memphis. So he is about to be done building a 3 bedroom, 1 bath house. Uh, he started 60 days ago. His all in is going to be $125,000. He's going to sell it because he's trying to do affordable housing, so he's going to sell it for 180. But that same property will rent for I think about $2,500, $3,000. Those numbers work.
Wow.
Wow.
Yep.
So if that's something I'm just throwing it out there. If you guys are still stuck or you're having a hard time with something, look at a different market that might work in that situation. Then you don't have to worry about a remodel. It's a brand new build. You know what you're getting. Make sure you trust the contractor and make sure that they're on the same page as you are. And it might be another option to go at because that's something that we might do too because this prices doesn't make any sense right now.
Mm-hmm.
I can buy a lot for $5,000, have that lot go against that loan. I'm using the bank's money to build that property, that house, and the numbers work. They work.
Yeah, I think Brandon was brought up in the chat. So Brandon is doing that in Texas, build to rent. So that could be a good model. I'm sure it's working for quite a few people. And maybe that's something that will come down the line, like we said, once we rebuild our reserves and things and get back into position to do more. I think our next deal will be substantially better than anything we've done yet. Kind of off the topic, what you
Why do
guys
you feel that way?
just from what we've learned, just again, I've talked about how I would probably look for better areas. So in St. Louis, for example, we're in like probably low C areas on those 3 properties. And that's something that I learned along the way. I leaned on the property manager so I would check in with him, share an address, would you manage in this area or not? Because I know there are areas where they will not manage for a lot of different reasons, crime being the biggest one. And through maybe 10 that I shared with him, one he kicked back and said, yeah, I won't go there. My people won't go there. So we didn't pursue that one. But all the others, he was fine. He's like, yeah, we manage in those areas. We have several investors in those areas. So that's why I went that way. And with that being said, those properties are fairly new to us. So we're hoping to see how they perform this year. And if it turns out, because we did spend some money on those as well, if it turns out that they maybe are underperforming or we're going to keep having issues with them, then maybe it would be time to pivot and buy something in a better class area. That, a lot of our mentors talk about buying, say, B minus instead of C minus. The cash flow is less, obviously, in a lot of places because the appreciation might be more, but you have better tenants, you have nicer properties, nicer neighborhoods, and things like that. So that's what I mean by the deal being better. It's just going to be better in general in all of those different aspects. And it might be a burr, like Ryan was saying, it might be something like that where I have to get on the plane and go out there and sit and watch the contractors do their thing.
I agree with Jack to a point where you being in different markets is good. I just think a little bit of scale is needed. And then, like you're talking about, have a couple B's, have a couple C's. Diversity is huge, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't end up like a lumberjack where you get all these people losing their jobs and lose all your rent.
Yeah, and that's been eye-opening, right? Because sometimes I think I can share this with all you guys because Dion and Matt aren't here, but sometimes you get tired of hearing how good things are when they're not. They're not. I mean, for me, this group is reality, right? And they are what we'll get to. That's kind of like a fantasy, but we hope to get there someday. But again, they've been doing it. Dion's the youngest, probably, well, maybe Millennial Mike in their careers. He's 6 or 8 years in. Dion's 12 years in. Matt's been there forever. But yeah, Matt has been sharing some of his challenges, and those are things I think that he hasn't experienced in a long time with, people jumping ship and going to those newer apartments and things because they get, move-in specials and no rent for a couple months and things like that. So I never wish that on anybody, but it is nice to see that even the big guys have challenges.
Hey, Jim, I wanted to answer a question that you asked earlier today. You're talking about, so when we have a tenant sign up on our property, we ask for their vehicle, their name, vehicle, license plate, how many cars they're going to have there. And typically we have someone ride through. If we have a car that's not on the list, we will have it towed.
Yeah, but you have to have certain things in your contract to be able to do that. At least in California, like the areas
Yeah,
going to be different.
yeah.
You can't you can't
Go
just
ahead.
tow automatically.
Yeah, we just don't all, if it's there for a certain amount of time, we will. But yeah, we have that in our lease.
I think, Ryan, that's one thing that, because my mom had a property here in California that we were helping her manage. And if it were my property, I'd be going by every day towing a car, So I think it's good that our properties aren't right here in my backyard because of my personality. So I guess that could go either way. Or her tenant used to, he would work on cars and have one up on blocks for months. He'd get them done, but the neighbors didn't appreciate that. So that's another thing. One thing that I've thought, and I should probably ask the PMs, like if we get a tenant move into one of our places and then they're causing a ruckus in the neighborhood, how are we going to know? That's one thing I don't want, to have. So if I were a property manager, I would probably go to all the neighbors and give them my card and say, hey, if this tenant gives you any crap, just call me and we'll get it handled, right? I don't know if the neighbors know that automatically.
We just had that happen. We
Hmm.
actually had somebody, well, the problem was is that we were getting calls and we took file a police report because we have to have police reports in order to take action.
Okay.
So it finally came to a point where the tenant just told us, look, I'm sorry that this is happening. I feel like we're being harassed by the neighbors. They said we are good tenants. We never had any problems. They did pay, never had any problems with that. But they said we're actually just going to move out because we don't want you guys to have a problem. And so yeah, that literally just happened to us.
Oh, well, that seems pretty rare that the tenant would think that way.
We usually we try our best to get good tenants and we treat them well and they have a really nice property. So we usually have pretty good relationships with them, even though they don't know us, but they know who to call. So
Yeah, I want to put something in my leases that you cannot have unregistered vehicles on the property because that's just an issue waiting to happen.
Yeah, I think you can add things like that, and I guess you would bounce that off the PM to see what's legal, but that would be my thing, no unlicensed vehicles, even no working on the vehicle on the property, things like that. Because like in that case where my mom's tenant did it, if it's up on jacks and a kid comes around messing around and the car falls on him or something, that could be really, really bad. Yeah, so there's so many challenges.
So for the ones that are worried about St. Louis and towing, St. Louis has a habit of towing extremely quick.
Hmm.
Like they've gotten in trouble for towing so fast.
And towed the wrong cars.
It's somebody feels that something's not roadworthy and it's tough to find. It was a story that I heard of. It's probably been almost a year ago, but St. Louis is of the problems they have. Delinquent vehicles doesn't seem to be one of them.
That's cool. In St. Joseph, for us, they and I think in a lot of places like they might cite you if the lawn isn't cut. So that happened to us. So they'll send you a notice and then you just get it cut and it's fine, no fines. But then one of the tenants didn't sign up for trash service and was just putting the trash behind the building. And so the city came through and they sent us a notice and we got all that handled. But things like that, if it goes too long, especially with trash and attracting rodents and things like that, it could be really bad. Rats or roaches, things of that nature. Matt has dealt with that in the past. He has shared that that the tenant called. I don't know if it was Section 8 or a regular tenant, but they called the authorities to complain about the rodents. And then when they went in with the inspector, the place was just a mess with trash everywhere and garbage out on the back porch and that kind of thing. And Matt even had a little bit of trouble convincing the jurisdiction that it was the tenant's fault, not his, that they had done, what they needed to do to get to try to get the tenant to put their trash in the proper place and things like that. So again, we learn so much from everybody talking about their challenges. I really appreciate this group and these calls.
So one of the things that I learned as I was working with another investor, my county doesn't have Section 8. There's no head office. So one of the questions I asked him is, well, how's Section 8 over there? He says, ironically, Section 8's been one of the few bright spots of rentals the last 20 years. And I'm like, really? Tell me more. So, but what I learned was not only the uh the counties, the two counties he was investing in, but I also learned the name of the folks he wants to talk to. So even if I don't buy his properties, you got an in on who to communicate with. So, and I know Alex is gone already, but being able to pick up the small things around your area will help things grow. Now, and everything's over there is cheap. I mean, we're old and it's everything's nice. There's really not, any war zones or anything like that.
Mhm.
It's just cheap. And Illinois is high in taxes. So the rest of that story comes down to you quickly get into the point with rents where if people can get their life together for very long, they can buy their own properties. So you kind of want to put either properties in the areas that they're going to transit through, or cheap enough, but in the areas that they don't mind being more rural, which is where I focus. So,
Yeah, that's a good
but
point.
there's give ups. I'm not going to get the appreciation. Don't really care. I'm more focused, quite honestly, on not taking loans out. I want to be able to have in 10 years, I want everything paid for all the way through. And including I bought this 2 months ago, bought a lot that will probably have a new build on it, a small 2-2 beginner home in a homeowners association that will attract Chicago like it has for the last 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a nice, cheap offering for but the market's got to come back. So while it's low, I'm trying to pick up the pieces I want to be able to play with.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, Section 8 for us, we have two Section 8 tenants, one in Milwaukee, one in St. Louis. The one that just got removed, she was Section 8 also. I think she lost everything because she did get evicted. She went through court and everything was finalized. Real quick, Kevin asked a question. Maybe Jim, you might be better suited for this one because he's asking, how do you schedule subs? When do you check on them? How often are you asking for progress reports?
Well, for me, I'm on site all the time. Most of my stuff is done in-house. There's only a couple things I sub out. I'm actually starting to process that more subs a little bit more for my actual construction business, but most of my properties I do myself. But Lindsay sent me a thing a couple weeks ago. Don't ever do payments based on time. Do payments based on like demo, framing, drywall, electrical. Do a set thing so that way you can go inspect it, or have somebody else video it and inspect it, and then they get paid like that. So that particular task is not paid for until those are done.
Mm-hmm. So that could go hand in hand with your inspections, right? So if you're going to get a framing inspection or rough mechanical, yeah, then you pay at that time once the inspector signs it off.
Yeah, one thing I'm learning though is we're the crazy ones in California that have all these rules that nobody else has.
That's not entirely true, but I like to rub it in when it is.
Well, do you have arc fault restrictions where you are?
What?
Oh, see? You know how much arc fault's costing me?
I have no idea.
It cost me $2,000 per panel. They're $60 a breaker. The overcurrent breakers are $150 a piece.
Yeah, they're not cheap. Well, maybe you don't do that, but I've seen people go back in and replace them with regular breakers after their final.
I will do that sometimes, but not all of them. I will do that on existing circuits because they don't always work because they share neutrals.
Right.
So the only time I'll switch that back is if they're actually having issues. Because like if you're using a vacuum all the time, it's a motor. It has an arc. It's going to arc out a lot.
Yeah, or we've had it happen with refrigerators and things like that too.
Exactly. Yeah. So it just depending on what the circuit's on, I will swap them out because of that. They're a lot better than they used to be. But the first generations were horrible. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
were tripping all the time.
What he's talking about is the arc fault breakers go into the main panel, and they're super sensitive. So if, like he said, if the circuit is arcing, it shuts off right away. But they were finding, like he said, you plug in a vacuum somewhere, and because it has a motor, when the motor starts, it shuts the breaker off. So that was a real headache for homeowners. And, some of our customers would ask us to go back in after they got their
What?
final inspection and put a regular breaker back in.
Yeah, I'll do that with the air gaps all the time because most of the dishwashers that you deal with already have the built-in loop. So you don't need an air gap. It's just the building departments won't get off that health and safety code.
Yeah, but I mean, what do you do after you've already drilled the hole through the granite to
Use
put
it
the
as a soap dispenser. Well, and what I've done too is a lot of times we'll actually put a temporary button for the garbage disposal underneath the cabinet. Then we pop that out and put the button back up the hole.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good remedy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have like five of those things where we just put them into different, then we go take them out.
Yeah, because even in a lot of the instructions, when you go to install a dishwasher in the old days, they needed that air gap, which is that little funny thing on top of your countertop. It looks like a little silver, I don't know, little silver button. Well, not a button, a little cap. So the dishwasher would go up to the air gap and lets air into the circuit, and then it goes down to the disposal. Now the dishwasher installation guides will typically just have you run the drain hose up in a high arc and down to the dishwasher, and you don't have any problems with drainage. Here, if we have a permit on a job, they always require us to put in an air gap. So like Jim was saying, well, I should say some people, once they get finaled, then they remove the air gap and they'll put in the soap dispenser or something in that hole, because you can't really patch quartz or granite after you drill a hole in it like that. So that's your contractor tip for the week.
Well, that and the other one's the vacancy sensors. Everybody wants those things out. They hate them.
Mhm.
Vacancy sensors.
Yeah, so the manual ons in the bathrooms.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, you're required to have the manual on in the bathroom.
Yeah, on the last job that I did that was inspected, they required those in the bathrooms, and my customer hated them, and she was arguing with the inspector. I'm there trying to get her passed, and she's arguing with the inspector saying, this is the most stupid thing I've ever seen. I don't want them in my house, right? And the guy's trying to tell her it's a requirement, and I'm trying to tell her, let's just get it passed, and if you want to later, you can switch the switch out. But she's like, I'm spending all this money on these expensive switches, and I'm just going to throw them away after you guys leave. So,
welcome to California.
Yeah. I was able to keep her calm enough to pass the inspection, thank goodness.
So Eden, there's an example of being too close to the work. Sometimes you get emotional and things bother you when you just need to be a little bit farther away.
Oh my goodness, it
So
happens.
there's
Yes.
a balance there, because otherwise you're on an emotional roller coaster. But there's a balance there of, okay, we're overdue on this, or this isn't happening. When do you make the kill switch? Like, I got to get somebody else in here, or okay, this is acceptable, and this is what's happening. But being too close to the work when you're not actually doing it is an emotional roller coaster,
Yes.
because things don't always go the way they ought to go, and you've got to work through some of it.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
So, well, so the guys that are in the field that do the work, either you're used to it and you know just to kind of gut through it, or you know how to a solution. but homeowners don't know how to do that. I mean, especially when um, they're nervous about the whole project to begin with, because it's a control thing. And that's what I got out of Frank's response of, well, the difference between where I started and where I ended up is I learned, um, from what I've learned, I've gotten confidence, so I don't have to have I've got to get it done, or the quick pressures on things. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I can see it in your face, Frank, that you're like, nah, I can swing this better. We're not swinging at that pitch.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because like I said earlier, in the beginning, I was go, go, go. I was not saying no to anything. And now that I'm old, I'm saying no to too much. So I got to be
But
careful that I don't let that go too far.
so you have to evaluate why you said no when you said no, because there's times where you can easily handle a lot more, and then there's times where experience has proven, or just you just go, I'm not up to this right now, we're not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, this is the other hard part, because I struggle with it too, is once you make a decision and it's actually a good decision, leave it alone.
And you're right, because another thing is, as a contractor, or I guess anyone, if they come into a place and work on something, and I don't know, just say you go in to work on a garbage disposal, right? And the garbage disposal goes in fine, but when you leave, there's a leak somewhere else in the
Mhm.
line. You're responsible because you were the last one that touched it. So um, there is quite a bit in the game. While I'm thinking about it, Eden and Crystal, I was just going to run through real quick the people that are here. So Charles is in Illinois. Um, Jim is in Sacramento, California. Flavio is in Washington State, and Flavio does all of his own rehabs in Washington State. Um, I want to say I always mix JSIC up with New York and New Jersey, but he's out there. Um, Paul is in California, up here close to us. Kevin is in San Francisco. He's doing a job in San Diego that he just purchased. Josh is in Washington State. Jack is in Pittsburgh.
And nervous.
Mikey's, yeah, Mikey's in Hawaii. He invests in Pittsburgh. Steven is in Canada. Ike, I don't know why I want to say Iowa. Ike, are you there? He's just listening. He's a firefighter. Um, so yeah, that's the group we have. Oh yeah, Mark's in Pittsburgh. Mark invests in Pittsburgh. He's the financial firefighter that showed up for a little while. He's in Hawaii investing in Pittsburgh. He's a clown, so whenever he comes on, we try to shut the meeting down right away.
Our favorite
Frank,
toy.
Iowa's a good guess, though.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ike, will you say that again?
I said I'm in Kansas,
Oh,
but Iowa's a pretty good guess.
Kansas, thank you. Yeah.
And that Kansas, Oklahoma market is a good market. Gets no attention. I'll shut up, Ike.
Yeah, don't tell too many people.
No, it's a great market.
Yeah, now we're all going there.
Now we all go.
Just look. You got to
Yeah.
know your areas.
Yeah, and it's probably okay to share this. One of the people that started the migration to Gary, Indiana, had recently posted that a lot of people followed him there over the years, and he was feeling sorry that he was part of that, because now Gary, at least for him, is turning around and turning bad. So he shared that. But some people are doing well in Gary, right? We have one property in Gary, but Lindsay's investing in Gary and doing quite well. Millennial Mike. Do you know Millennial Mike, Eden? Yeah.
Yes, I do. Yes.
So Millennial Mike is doing well there. I think Wayne also invested with Millennial Mike there. So I was just wondering, maybe he bought in some. I know Gary is considered bad in general, but maybe he invested in some really bad spots in Gary that haven't come around yet. We got a couple of good zip codes and the turnkey. So even the turnkey provider that we bought through, the Olson Group, the same one that Millennial Mike used, they're still investing in their market. They live in their market. So I don't know that it's all that person's fault that everybody followed him, but along with everybody going there, other challenges arose, getting contractors because everybody was so busy because of all the people coming to Gary. Property management has been an issue for that same reason. So I just wanted to mention that. Kevin, on your property, did it get tented when you purchased it?
Hey Frank, sorry about that. I'm getting some things done around the house. No, it did not get tented. It was a as-is purchase, but we just have some remediation work that we need to get done, and it looks like we have both types of termites, the dry wood termites and the subterranean.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to see what
Yeah,
best practices, I guess, for that type of stuff.
one thing that I kind of fell into, I wasn't happy about it at the time, but I am happy now. When we bought our home, it was tented. And then when we moved in, I was doing some remodeling. And as I was tearing some stuff out, I found live termites, which shouldn't have been there, right? Because it got tented. So then I was able to call them back and have them, they did some additional treatment around the perimeter. And then they, of course, treated the area that I found the termites in. But if you just say you buy a new home, you get it tented, you think everything's good, and you don't do any changes to the place, you would never know that they didn't get all the termites. I think the process, for example, they put the tent on, they fill it with gas to a certain, I guess, mixture, for lack of a better term, and then the termites can't breathe, so they all die, and they leave it on there for a recommended, I forget what the recommendation is as far as time, but there's also, I think they're supposed to get inspected. So the inspector would come by and make sure that the seal is proper on the tent so that the gas is contained. And then once the duration is met, then they remove the tent and everything. It usually is a 72-hour process, but that's my experience with termites.
It's not uncommon to have them retreated around here, Frank.
Really?
You treat them, and yeah, it's super common to have it retreated.
Yeah, some people do it like every 10 years or something,
Yep.
some
I was going
homeowners.
to say, yeah, 5 and 10 year increments.
Yeah, they just feel better about that. And I can see that, especially where, well, California, I wouldn't say they're horrible. I would think every 10 years would probably be good to keep your building kind of maintained in that respect.
Yeah. Jack is asking, where's a good place to live that's not so hot and not so cold?
Yeah, I can't imagine living in Pennsylvania, Jack. That would be tough.
There's some gorgeous parts of Pennsylvania, Frank.
It's beautiful,
Yeah,
but the humidity, I guess the humidity is the thing that would kill me.
yeah,
Yeah, because you just can't escape it.
yep.
I
Pretty
know.
much east of the Mississippi. Um, I can't say that because a lot of like Missouri is horrible. There are some spots, but as elevation rises and it gets drier, like Omaha-ish, but it still gets hot. And as the crops are in and growing and with a little bit of rain, it's like right now, it's really, really humid here.
I
Like I thought it was more humid here in central Illinois than I did going to boot camp in San Diego.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
just
San
drove
Diego
through Memphis.
and 29, yeah, and 29 Palms, where it got well into the hundreds, felt cooler than it does here. Of course, this is, a lot long ago. So it looks like Steve's bouncing off.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. Um, Josh, what state did you say?
Just drove through Memphis. Talk about hot and muggy. It's like unbearable. And we just kept driving. Just pulled over,
Yeah,
having some dinner in a big
yeah,
parking lot
that's
here. But yeah,
that's crazy. I was going to tell Jack I know of a property in California that's going to be coming up for sale, Jack. If you have any interest, make me an offer I can't refuse.
Hey, what's your acreage?
Oh, we have a little small place that we probably, I would say, maybe a third of an acre combined because we bought the house and then the lot next door. It's 100 by 100 between us and the neighbor. The original owner of this house sold it to that neighbor, and then probably 8 or 9 years ago we were able to buy it back. So we have some space between us and our neighbors.
So I can't turn it into a glamping resort.
I've considered that. Trust me, I considered. There was a man selling a really nice fifth wheel. I was going to park on the property and make it into an Airbnb. But then, you think there's a creek behind us. So you think, well, I got to fence that all off. What if somebody's kid falls in the creek? Or, sometimes out here, I think I can talk about Hispanics because I am one. The neighbors sometimes the neighbors have parties and they'll go till, 1 or 2 in the morning. And I can't imagine having an Airbnb client right there when they decide it's time to party. So
Yeah, I've got an ultimate goal of doing a scuba diving resort in that area.
oh man, that would be
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, so you basically.
Hey, sir, I need the CF number. Is there any way you can pull up the covers? Thank
I
you.
got to check off for a second.
Okay. So the neighbors have toned it down quite a bit over the years, but there was a little bit of time there where, and honestly, my biggest complaint was the one neighbor would hire um, a mariachi band, and the guy who they hired was the worst singer I had ever heard. At least if they're going to disrupt us till 1 or 2 in the morning, they could hire somebody that isn't tone deaf. So some of the challenges we face, and you can't pick your neighbors, right? I'm even thinking if we go to Washington, what if I end up in the same situation? Yeah, Flavio gets it. But anyway, crazy stories. Eden, I forgot to mention, sometimes we go off topic and we'll talk about some crazy stuff. So don't feel like you have to stay through it all, but you're welcome to.
Thank you. No, this is good. This is really nice to hear.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's a big consideration thinking about leaving this state because we're really spoiled with our climate. Well, Eden, it's pretty much the same where you're at. It'll be tough. And over the last few years, we've made some really great friends in this group that are in Washington. Michelle Meyer, Anna is there, Deanne, of course, Flavio's there, Alex, who was on earlier, he's up there. So we feel like we already have some friends moving up there. I think I have more friends there than we do where we're at. So I think that'll help compensate for the wetter weather that we're going to experience there.
And when you're thinking of going, Frank?
Cynthia signed up for one more part-time year teaching, so a year to 2 years maybe. Yeah, one of our other friends, Justin Cambra, he's an agent up there. He's in this community as well, but he set up a search for us up there. So we're kind of looking around. We're hoping to make a couple trips up there so Cynthia could see what the area is like. And where Dion's at, that when I went up to stay with Dion, his area was a lot like Santa Cruz, a lot of redwoods and things like that.
Nice.
They have traffic too, which was a surprise, but I think,
they have more traffic than California.
Well, I think the only thing that's getting me around that is that I should be retired, so I shouldn't have to go out in it every day,
Yeah, I was born in Washington.
Oh, that's right. I remember now.
Oh, I got all kinds of family out there. Not that I talk to them, but
yeah. Well, I know my sisters, I have two sisters, they moved up to Oregon a few years ago. I don't want to live near them, so I'm going to keep going. My mom and dad passed away, so they're not here anymore. The only family I have here really is my cousin who works with me. He's been working with me for, going on over 25 years. So it'll be hard to leave him behind, but they don't want to go. So,
Are you gonna invest in Washington when you move out there? Or are you gonna be still our state, Frank?
that thought has crossed my mind. It would take more money to probably get into something. Flavio keeps tempting me because Flavio is in Grandview, Washington, and he was just talking about buying something and rehabbing it. I think we could afford to do something like that with less money. So that might be a possibility. I keep thinking, well, kind of teasing about my age, right? I can't do as much as I used to be able to do physically.
Nor should we.
Right. Yeah, Jim feels it. But I think I have enough in me to do one more remodel, major remodel. So hopefully that'll happen. But there's so many options, Dion was asking if I would restart my business up there. And I might need to for a little while because I don't think I could fully retire on what the portfolio as it sits.
Just start it up as a either real estate based or just maintenance based. You'll make more money doing maintenance than you will remodeling.
Yeah, and I like the smaller projects. That's what I started out doing. When I first started out, I was a handyman back in the day. That was in 2019. I started out doing hardwood floors with my dad, and then after that, it kind of evolved into a handyman business. I love painting. A lot of people don't, but I like to paint, and that's pretty simple to do, not super physical. I don't really. I used to like tile work, but I don't anymore.
That's too hard. It kills me every time I do it.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is once you get to a certain point and you don't need a ton of money, you're doing it more as much for enjoyment as you are for a little bit extra income.
Yeah, that's the way I was looking at it too. That's a good point.
Because otherwise somebody's going to kill you because they're going to tell you to go away. Because I know my wife's going to do the same thing. I'm not going to be allowed to be in the house all the time.
Trying to save my wife from an assault charge.
Yeah, that could happen. we got a little bit off topic. I was going to ask real quick if anybody else has anything they want to bring up this week, anything crazy to share.
But that's the thing. All of it's topic, in my opinion, because it all relates. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yes, it all relates. I guess where I was going with that is I don't want to be the one talking all the time because you guys have, stuff. And if you let me go, I will. I'll talk for the 3 hours. But I think, yeah, just in general, even thinking about our lives in general, I had a crazy thought about, because, on my videos on the work van confessions, I was telling Mikey, I was thinking that the next one would be that the title would be, I'm tired of selling myself.
Yes.
Right, Jim?
Yep.
It's no fun anymore because, and thankfully all my business is repeat clients, so I don't really have to sell myself. But when I met someone new the other day that was looking at doing a bathroom remodel, and you have to sell your skill, right? And that's not a lot of fun anymore.
No.
When you can work on your reputation, that's really rewarding. But you do have to be careful. So, for example, if one of you referred me to one of your friends and I had done work for you in the past and you're just so happy with the work that I did, there's a lot of pressure to do that for your friend because you don't want that friend coming back to you and saying, hey, why did you send me this guy? He doesn't know what he's doing. And maybe it's not, maybe the work is great, but maybe the personalities don't mesh, right? Maybe you and I get along great, but me and your friend are just not feeling it. So that's been a lot of pressure over the years to make sure we keep everybody happy, especially if they were a referral.
You know what my solution is? I want to work for my favorite customer. Me.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. That's why I'm doing as heavy as I am in burrs. Exactly the same.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't even like working for myself.
Well, yeah.
I can't even keep myself happy.
Cheap so-and-so.
Why didn't you do it right the first time, you big dummy? But yeah, and my wife's really tough. She's been nagging me about nailing in this one piece of baseboard for about 6 years. I told her I left it without nails because it's easier when we paint. Just move the baseboard, paint the wall, and put the baseboard back.
Well, she can probably hear me, but every contractor's house is the same. Everyone I know. I've got doors that aren't done, switches that aren't finished. I've got a freaking sauna, a steam. All the stuff. It would take me maybe 2 weeks to get everything done.
You're right. I am going to mute you because she can't hear you and she's coming this way.
I figured you left it off because she changed her mind so often on the color.
No. No.
Well, okay.
The boss is here now.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me know what you think about this. So she wanted me to paint something, right? The bedroom, for example, and I didn't.
Frank, it doesn't matter. Cynthia's right.
Exactly.
I didn't get it done soon enough. So she said she was going to paint it, but when she painted it, she was going to go around the nightstands and the bed and the other nightstand because that's all you could see.
That'll teach them.
So and the crazy thing is, back some years we used to do work when the banks were repossessing homes and they would hire us to go in and paint carpet and stuff so they could put it on the market. And we went to this job and I walked into the bedroom and what did I see? I saw an outline of the nightstands and the bed.
Oh my gosh.
Honest. That's honest. Somebody painted. I said, I didn't see my wife pull up.
But we won't talk about when he painted our bedroom and he had to patch some holes that he put in to find a mouse, and he still hasn't painted and fixed those. So, I think painting around the bed and everything, it's fair game now.
The mouse might come back.
It's airflow.
So we had this mouse in our bedroom wall, and I couldn't figure out how he was getting in. So it sounded like he was running across the wall horizontally, and there's no way a mouse could do that, right? Because of the way the wall's built. So I poked 3 small holes in different bays, and I sprayed foam into the holes, thinking whatever was at the bottom, it would fill up any holes and the mouse couldn't, right, get in. So that worked, but those 3 little holes, I had put clear tape over the holes in case I needed to add more foam. So when I painted the bedroom, I didn't want to remove the tape yet, so I painted around the tape. And her solution was to go out and buy 3 picture frames, and it put 1 picture frame over each hole. So that's
out of sight, out of mind.
And I don't know the people in the pictures, because she left the photo in the frame when she bought it, and we don't have any white relatives, so that's another thing.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Flavio, come on.
You just reminded me of a Bill Engvall or no, Ron White joke.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess something like his ex-wife was depressed because their puppy died. So he went ahead. He's like, "Hey, let's go ahead and get another puppy." So they picked out a puppy, and she was all happy again. So then her father ended up dying or passing away in a nursing home. He's like, "I see a way around this." So he took her to a nursing home. He's like, "Here, let's go ahead and pick you a new daddy." And she's like, "I like the black one." And he's like, "Well, let's keep things the same color so we don't have to explain things."
That's bad. That's so bad.
We
Eden, I want you to notice something. This is the crap that contractors do. And if you stress over how bad your house is going to be, one of these contractors might show up.
They we were talking about, I don't know if we have enough time, but
there's always enough time.
Where Cynthia and I moved from, so we lived in Fremont, which is an hour away from here, and we also had a mouse there, and it took us forever to figure out where he was and how he was getting in, things like that. So we finally realized he was under the kitchen sink. So one night we heard him, and it was about like 11 o'clock at night. So we get the bright idea that we're gonna get a plastic bag. So we got a garbage bag, and we were ready with the bag in front of the kitchen sink. So we were holding the bag up, and we opened the doors under the kitchen sink, and I didn't see the mouse at first, but then the mouse ran out and it got into the garbage bag. And then we got him in the bag, and he's squirming around in the bag, and I was going to kill it. And she said, "No, don't kill it." And I said, "Well, we can't let him outside. He'll just come back in." And she said, "Well, take him somewhere." So I go, "Okay, where am I going to take him?" So if you can picture this, by now it's probably close to midnight, and I have this stupid mouse in the garbage bag, and I get in the car, and I'm going to take the mouse somewhere. So I drove to another part of town where it was mostly industrial, and I was going to let the mouse out in this industrial area. So I backed the truck up into this space, and I'm about to get out and let the mouse out. And who drives up? The police.
Oh.
So the police officer shines his light on the vehicle, tells me to get out, and starts asking me, what am I doing at that time of night in this area? And I'm holding this bag with the mouse in it, and I'm telling him the story. My wife didn't want me to kill this thing, so I'm out here trying to set it free. And he couldn't keep a straight face. He just got in his car and he left. So we've had some adventures, and I still let her be married to me.
I think that's the other way around.
Well,
Who said that?
I mean,
Jim.
She has the catch of a lifetime. Who else would take him out? So anybody else would have killed that sucker right in the kitchen. So,
But he forgot to tell you that when he's trying to get the mouse from under the sink, he has the broom, takes the barbecue fork, tapes it to the broom to try, or no, it's the spatula to try to get the mouse to go into the bag. So there's this big guy trying to bend over to look for this little mouse, trying to move things out of the way, and every time something moves, he jumps. So don't think he's this big brave guy, because yeah, he was a little scared.
and then I accidentally smashed her hand in the doors because when the mouse jumped into the bag, I slammed the door in under the sink. So when I got home, things weren't good either, even though I freed Willie. We did name him, by the way. So yeah, things are crazy around our house. I see that was enough to get your attention, Flavio. You don't ever come on camera unless it's to laugh at me. So we're glad to see you.
No, it's not recorded, right?
Yes, this is all recorded.
We're going to edit this, right?
But I think, yeah, I'll send this to my son so he can cut all the good stuff out. So what else is going on with you? I was telling the folks in the beginning, I kind of have slowed down a little bit on trying to make every meeting, because it was a lot. It's a lot to make. We have this call. I have another call that I do on Mondays. Mikey and I talk every Sunday. We definitely try to make Dion's lives always, but I kind of tapered off from the Lumberjack a little bit. I tapered off from the Daily Financial News. I tapered off even some of Mark's stuff, just because that really consumes your whole week. And
yeah, you gotta make money.
It was distracting. It was a little bit distracting. So it's easier to concentrate when you're not. And I have to admit, in the beginning, if I missed a Dion live, or I missed Mark, or I missed Zuber or somebody, I was really upset, because I was missing something great. But after a little while, it takes its toll.
Yeah, this is getting like a full-time job, attending all the lives.
Yeah, you're in everything. I'm surprised your wife doesn't kick you out and tell you to go make some money or something.
Oh no. Well, that's the issue. I want to go to work because I'm tired of being here at home. But,
yeah. And like I was saying, Flavio was a year buying properties and burying them, right? So he's looking for another deal to do that with.
Yeah, right now I'm looking for it. There's few of them in the market, but I don't know. They going down here. Prices going down. So I don't want to get these crappy houses and later on the good ones, they're going to pop up.
Yeah. What do you mean? Are they in areas that you don't like, or what's bad about them? The ones that you're seeing now.
Uh, it's like three houses in one parcel, and needs a lot of work, all three.
Oh.
So,
How much are they?
and they asking 340, but I think you can get it for 240.
Yeah, my biggest challenge on that, 'cause two of my houses are on the same property. It's harder to refi because you have to get all three of them done to get the refi done. So I have to have both of my units completely rehabbed before I can refinance it.
Hmm.
That's one challenge I'm definitely running into right now.
So they not counting as a duplex, like a.
But even if, yeah, no, it does not,
Okay.
because it's one property. So it's not it wouldn't be an individual loan.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good information.
Yeah, because you want it to appraise correctly, and if you don't have both of them done, it's not going to appraise.
Right. Yeah, that's good information. Because a couple of weeks ago, I was teasing Frank that I sent him a property that had four houses on it. That I'm thinking it'd be like kind of close in the middle of all of his markets. And he's barely even responded, but it had four houses for asking price of 139. Taxes were $6,000, but he wasn't interested. And
Here's the
pretty good
difference.
stuff.
You got to find out if you can split it. If you can split them, which I will do on mine at some point, because I can make it to where they're two separate parcels, and that'll make me 150, 200 grand right there.
Yeah, these are already split in two parcels, but one
Gotcha.
parcel has three homes and one's a single right now.
It's not that Frank wasn't interested. He just had to close his eyes because he might have done something crazy. So
I'm
on
telling
the
you,
one on the one
that,
hand, I
that
really
zip
appreciate
code
you.
wasn't a bad zip code.
I appreciate you sharing it with this hand, but on this hand, I'm smacking you for sharing it.
Yeah, I try to stay off the sites for the same reason. It's like, because you can find money. It's actually not that hard. You can find it. But then should you find said money?
Right. Yeah, should you?
There's
Jack
always
asked you.
another deal.
Flavio, Jack asked, what are your specialties? Are you a GC?
I don't think I have any specialties.
Irritating Mark.
Yeah.
And you do a good job of irritating Mark. He responds to you quicker than any of us.
Well, I think Mark left because I told him, Flavio, that you were looking to Airbnb with him when we go to Vegas.
Oh,
And
no, he don't want anybody.
No. He thinks he's special.
No, he was testing me, sending me text why you guys kick him out?
He panicked. We were talking yesterday because he had shoulder surgery, and he wasn't online. We have a group chat going, and he wasn't online. So I thought maybe the painkillers knocked him out and put him to sleep. And when he woke up, he said he panicked because he thought it was Wednesday and he missed our call.
Oh,
so
Yeah, and he's a non-drinker, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, I told him I made a mistake. I should have kept my big mouth shut.
It works out. So anyway, it is getting late, guys.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I appreciate you guys hanging out. It was a lot of fun.
Does anybody have anything else they want to hit us up with since we've been yakking?
Oh, just next week, if you think about it, don't forget to mention all of the great information that came out after 7:30 Pacific. So they'll be sorry that they missed all the fun.
Yeah.
So I do have one more thing. As we get closer to Vegas, tickets coming out, and start booking rooms, I would like to know, like, if there's an area that we're all going to be closer in, so it's a little bit easier to navigate.
Last year, a lot of the hanging out was down basically Midtown or whatever. Mark will know better on that because a lot of them stayed at one place down there. I stayed at the Strat. I don't want to stray there next time. Next time, we'll stay in the middle.
Yeah.
And look, a lot of guys are talking about doing Airbnbs, but Airbnbs are going to be farther out. I don't know that I want to do that either.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were going to concentrate on the downtown area. I know Cynthia and I had scheduled to stay at the Golden Nugget. I think Mark and Mike.
Yep, I think they were too. Yeah, a lot of people were staying there.
Yeah, Mikey, I think, was going to stay at the downtown Grand.
Yeah, I really like the downtown Grand. The problem with the Golden Nugget, Curtis found out last year, is that you're right on Fremont Street, and this is so loud and stuff. It kept them up for half the night and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Where the downtown Grand, you can see Fremont Street, but it's not keeping you up.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that was a lot of good information. I think Flavio, you were looking for tickets the other day. Are you planning on going?
Probably. We'll see. It's still 6 months.
Yeah. If Mark goes, I probably won't.
Flavio, you coming out to Pittsburgh?
I don't know, man.
So,
I need
You'd have to have full tactical gear.
I know.
I need to know so I can get you your hoodie to protect you from all the fry grease.
Yeah, Jack, we'll talk tomorrow because I was just pricing everything out for Pittsburgh. I need to find out where you recommend to stay, what area.
All right, yeah.
So I was debating on just staying in Aliquippa or Ambridge because I want to look at those areas heavily anyway. Just getting an Airbnb.
That's honestly not a bad idea.
Well, you guys can stay on Mark's property. He already closed that deal.
I'm telling you, if he doesn't show up, I'm going to toilet paper his houses.
Yeah, he's not totally 100% that he's going, huh?
No.
Yeah.
No, I think he's less than 50.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Eden Jackson, Pittsburgh, and they're having a get together September 5th through 7th?
The 7th, yeah. I was telling Mark today on his live, I'm thinking about doing kind of a la carte where everyone kind of just buys the tickets to what they want to attend and don't want to attend. Obviously, the bus trip is going to be, they can just reimburse me and I'll get the little bus thing. But Friday is going to be the Gateway Clipper, which is a riverboat cruise that goes up and down all 3 rivers. And then on Saturday is the little bus trip, and we'll go up on top of Mount Washington where we can see the like Pittsburgh from an overview. And then on Sunday, they're doing a Mexican War Streets historical tour where we can go in and check out different houses and stuff. It says 11 till, I forget what it is, like 2 or 5 o'clock. And yeah, but from my experience, and like don't quote me because I've never done this one, they're typically only a couple hours.
Sounds like a good time. And it sounds like a good time of year to go, is it?
Yeah, September's usually a good month to go because there's not really a ton of rain. The humidity's done for like a month.
Only for 1 month.
The cold is colder when it's wet.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Don't want to keep you. Thanks, Charles, for hanging out so late.
When we are in Vegas, everybody needs to know it was 10 years ago that we got married in Vegas. And I am quite sure that I said love, honor, and obey. Yeah. And she disagrees.
Well, we'll have to get it straight from the boss's mouth.
See everybody.
Okay, guys. Thank you. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.